Good day, and welcome to Women Lead TV, brought to you by Connected Women of Influence. I'm Eva Venari, founder of the Elevate Institute, and I'm your host for this segment called Leading Your Health, and the show that helps you take charge of your health. And so many of us leaders in every part of our lives, but health, and we want to solve that with this show. So today, our conversation is about cancer is a symptom, not a disease. It's really a great topic. I can't wait to dig into. Today, Alexi Bracy is with us, and Alexi is owner of Whole Health Academy, and she's a bouncing back after cancer expert, an author, speaker, coach, and consultant. And here's the thing, she does this without any medical intervention, drugs, or surgery. She conquered her cancer challenge within a year, and she does not support chemotherapy, radiation, or allopathic medicine. Oh, I love it. Good day, Alexi. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just delighted to be here. Oh my goodness. I wonder who you're talking about there.
Me too. Well, let's roll into this because this is so exciting. You often don't hear about results like this, especially not within, any Western medicine based country. And you're out of Canada, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, you've helped a lot of people on their journey to health. Let's start with yours. So, how did you overcome cancer without using all of those mainstream solutions?
Well, when I was diagnosed, which was like more than 20 years ago, the availability of the internet is not what it is today. So I spent 3 months at bookstores and libraries doing research, and I was totally green about health, cancer, diet. I knew nothing about it. And so I just implemented a few things. Primarily, when I was told I had cancer, I knew in my heart of hearts I was going to beat it, but I didn't know how. I just had that, there was this drive inside of me that come hell or high water, I was going to conquer it. And I did. Persevering, definitely keeping that in the back of my mind all the time. I did some emotional work, some forgiveness, because our cells retain memory, whether good memory or bad memory, from childhood, from adulthood, 2 months ago. And it has been shown through the ACE test, Accelerated Childhood Learning Experiences, spelled capital A, capital E, capital C. If you score, there's a quiz, and if you score three or more yeses out of a possible 10, you have an 80% chance of developing either cancer, arterial sclerosis, or heart disease. So you definitely have to resolve emotional issues. Some you just sort of, oh, it's not an issue, but it is an issue. So I definitely did some emotional work, did some forgiveness work. And then a big one was, well, I don't know, there are just so many factors that came into play. I was living on the west coast of Canada at the time where the raw food movement was a big item, because it's easier to eat raw food, meaning food that has not been touched by heat. When the winters are, above zero, versus where I live in Ontario, it's -20. So I embraced the raw food umbrella, I guess you could speak. I was already a trained chef, and so I just switched hats from a traditional chef to one of a raw food chef. I still, for myself, I'm predominantly raw, but I do support a plant-based diet. And so it really suited me well. It fit well with me. And then I eliminated toxins from my food. So I ate primarily organic and toxic toiletries and cleaning products in our home. And we have them all over the place. Like, for example, an umbilical cord taken from a newborn has up to 300 toxins in it. And where do they get these toxins? From their mother. Not intentionally, it's just our lifestyle. The air we breathe, the water we drink, we're chemicalized, radialized, GMOs, glyphosates, I mean, just the whole 9 yards. So I, got rid of that. I didn't wear makeup for a whole year because I was just too nervous. And I was cancer free a year later. And so it started to me on my journey to help other people either reverse or prevent cancer or other health challenges. And we can all do it, no matter how serious. I mean, you think of people that have overcome not just health challenges, but challenges in their lifestyle. It's all about positive mindset, a really strong positive mindset. That's key as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something early in the question, or I should say in the answer, about how cells have memory. And I think that ties into this positive mindset about. Give us
Well,
a little bit
absolutely.
more. Yeah. So what would you say that is the most important thing about positive mindset to keep in mind? Because, and I add this little caveat, you're probably hearing and bring this into the story too, from doctors telling you you have to do surgery, you have to do these drugs, like how did you manage that and keep a positive mindset? Because that's a lot of anxiety.
Well, when I when I first got my diagnosis, I asked for another opinion, which my background also was as a medical technologist, so I knew how to read blood results, lab results, because I wanted to get confirmation not just from one doctor. And when I got home, as I was putting my key into the door, the phone was ringing, and it was a hospital wanting to book me for my surgery. Was I a cash cow? Maybe. Who knows? You know. So, I mean, Western medicine has its allopathic medicine has its benefits. Fix broken bones. I mean, there's just a lot of positive things. But unfortunately, doctors aren't trained in nutrition. They're only trained to give up pharmaceuticals. It's a band-aid that they're trained to do. Whereas I get to the root cause. What caused my cancer? And I've just mentioned a few items. It could be parasites. It could be mold, the water we drink, the air we breathe. Um, there's just, we're multifaceted and we're not one size fits all. So you have to explore individually what contributing factors are causing that person's cancer. Like, for example, I equate it to holes in your roof. You've got a hole in your roof, so you fix one hole, and then 2 weeks later, something else is leaking over in the other corner. So you have to check the whole roof and fix all the holes in order to get a good roof or good health.
Yeah. And then in keeping all of that in mind, because that's a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot of awareness to bring yourself to. So it's going to be a slow progression of change. So let's go back to gratitude. How do you roll in that positive mindset using gratitude?
Well, for example, um, like I say cancer saved my life. I'm grateful for that because who knows 20 years hence if I would still be around. And it has enabled me to help many people change their health around. So in anything negative, there's always something to be positive. Even with COVID, with all due respect, yes, there's some really horrific things, but you can find, the silver lining in any negativity. Maybe you decided you're spending too much time commuting and you get a job closer to work, or you're going to start your own business. People are complaining the price of food, the price of gas. Be grateful you've got the money for it. You know, this morning somebody was complaining to me, oh, it's going to rain today. I said, well, flip it around the other way. Be grateful we're not living in a country where there's a drought. We've got rain to grow the flowers and the trees. There's always something to be grateful for, even in negativity. For example, you broke up with this guy that you thought was your ultimate prince. You end up meeting somebody better. You didn't get that job, you get a better job. You didn't get that house you wanted to buy, you get a better house. It's just the way you look at it. So just to be grateful for the little things.
Yeah. Well, and how does that help translate into like let's let the rubber meet the road here. When you're talking to yourself as a person who has this diagnosis and you're going through the I don't know phase of is this working? What are the things that you say to yourself? How can you transform I'm not sure to I'm absolutely positive? Because you had that idea that you were just going to get better no matter what. You had that decision.
Well, feed yourself positive, um, affirmative YouTube. There's all sorts of them out there. Play them at night. There's healing music you can play, and get a support system. Either somebody that you're accountable to. There's lots of support groups, whether it's cancer or diabetes or whatever, to support one another. There's sites on the internet where you can say, I need some help. I need a little bit of motivation. I need some hand holding. What do you think of this? There's all, we're not meant to be solo players. Reach out for help, for support. And, whatever your belief system is in a higher power, pray for guidance, you know, um, meditate, really great way for stress reduction is blue mind. And it's a word that was coined by Dr. The name escapes me for a minute, but anyway, he was a retired Marine biologist, and he took a group of war veterans suffering from PTSD down to the Caribbean to repopulate the water. They all recovered. Why? They were suspended in water. They were relaxed. Why do people go to their cottages in the summertime and down south in the wintertime? There's water sports, skiing, kayaking, canoeing, sailing. We spent the first 9 months in water. In our embryo, water births are becoming more comfortable. So while you're having those second thoughts, do something water related that will stress you to release that cortisol, those stress hormones.
And that's the core of a lot of chronic illnesses and inflammation in general. So if we're getting rid of the cortisol is what creates the inflammation, or at least allows for it, then that's a really good tip for not just those going through cancer, but I would imagine anyone who's experiencing stress.
Well, absolutely. And 90% of all doctors' visits today are stress related.
Yeah. Yeah. So, gosh, I mean, I want to go back to another part that you talked about is toxins. And I know that we hold on to toxins, especially when we are stressed. And you said a lot about the toxins in our environment, cleaning supplies and all of that. So what is the rest of it? Because what we're living around is one part of it. But you also mention not just what we eat, but what we hear and what we see and what we smell. So say more on all of those senses and how they contribute to healing.
Well, seeing and hearing can sort of go hand in hand. The media is bombarded with negativity. What are the movies out there? It's all violence and war and anger and hatred. So we're bombarded by that negativity. Maybe your neighbors are always arguing. Maybe somebody down the street, you can hear them shouting at another. We're bombarded with that negativity. The smells could be with cleaning products. Food burning, the smokestacks near the factories. So all our senses are really involved in the mental and emotional detriment, or we want to change it around to make it a positive. Watch good movies that make feel good movies. Like a great one would be Mr. Rogers' Good Home Neighborhood, or I can't remember the name of it. Something that puts a smile on your face. Like for example, I have 2 dogs. I walk them and people go, "Oh, your dogs are so beautiful," and I'll say, "Yeah, it runs in the family." It puts a smile on their face, or they're petting them, and I say, "If I get on all fours, will you pet me too?" It puts a smile on their face. I'm still waiting for the challenge because I will do it.
That's very disarming. Makes people wonder, think before they ask. Yeah, if you're willing to do it, it's like, that's crazy. But I think that's fun. And you're bringing up another really, really good point, is that a laughter and a sense of humor is important to this healing journey. So I have another question for you. And I'm curious about the types of cancer that you've been able to help, because according to a lot of mainstream media about cancer, is that some cancers can have different modality tracks that work for that cancer type. So tell us more about the different the different types of cancers that you've been able to help.
Well, I've been able to, with the exception of pancreatic cancer, because it is difficult, and some West allopathic intervention may be there. Lung cancer, leukemia, ovarian cancer, skin cancer. Those are very doable. Brain cancer depends on the severity of it. It's a little iffy. If I can't help you, I'll tell you outright, but I will make some suggestions.
Wonderful. So if folks wanted to get a hold of you, I know we're going to have your information underneath the our posts, but how best can people reach you?
Best to reach me through LinkedIn. Definitely leave a message there, or my email, which is my name at gmail.com. That's the quickest way.
That's so easy. And it's Alexi, not Alexi Bracy, but Alexi at gmail.com.
No, Alexi Bracy at Gmail.
Okay, good. Good clarification. Wonderful. And I know that since you love to make people laugh, you always like to end things with a joke. So you're on. Share.
Well, laughter has been shown to promote longevity. It's great for brain health. It's great for cancer because you want happy cells in your body. That may sound hokey, but it's not. You want happy, energized cells with a high frequency. So what I do is I approach strangers at the dog park, at the grocery store, at the ATM machine, and I say, can I put a chuckle in your heart? Why a chuckle? Because behind every face is a story. Maybe you lost a loved one, maybe you lost your job. So for 2 minutes, I have a captive audience. They laugh out loud. It feeds my soul. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. It raises the feel-good hormones, the endorphins in your brain. And they may think about it all day and go home and say, and share with a loved one and say, you know what? I met this crazy woman at the dog park. She shared a joke, but it was really good. Even with service providers on the telephone, after I've discussed whatever it is, I'll say, have you got 2 minutes? I share a joke. Maybe the person before me was very rude to them. You never know what's going on in people's lives. So there's a burglary going on in the middle of the night and it's dark. And the burglar's rummaging and he hears a voice that says, Jesus is watching. And he stops and he looks around and he doesn't see anything. And he continues and he's disconnecting the wires all in the dark. And the voice comes back on and says, Jesus is watching. He flicks on his flashlight, looks around in all the corners and he spots a parrot. And the burglar says, is that you? And the parrot says, yes, Jesus is watching. And the burglar says, and so what's your name? And the parrot says, my name is Moses. And the burglar laughs. He says, who would name their parrot Moses? He says, the same people that would name their Rottweiler Jesus.
Oh. Mission accomplished. That was good. Well, thank you so much, Alexi. That is all the time we have for our show today, but I'm so glad you were able to join us today.
Oh, it's been my utmost pleasure. And just keep on smiling and put a chuckle in people's hearts.
Love it. And special thanks to all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us wherever you are on all of our social media networks. And we'll be back again for another Women Lead TV show. Leading Your Health will be back on July 10th with another episode. And it's been my sincere pleasure to be your host today. Thank you for listening and watching. This is Eva Venari, founder of the Elevate Institute, reminding you to question with purpose.